You don't, it looks like you don't need it. We're done with that podium. Oh, no. Also, we did need those batteries. So, died like that.
Oh, good.
So, so what do I do with the old batteries that died? I use them in front end.
Yeah, take it there. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We appreciate you having that.
No problem. Okay. Yeah.
I wish I wanted to get you here too.
Well, you can still stick around.
Congratulations for having us. We're so bummed out at the same time.
Okay, are you ready for the raffle?
Yeah.
Okay. Tickets are ready. If I call your ticket number, we're going to have to look at your ticket because I didn't put your names on here, so. Put your glasses on. Put on your glasses. If I call your number, you can go over to the table and choose any one book from the table. The first number is 412234.
Winner every time.
Choose anyone. Our next number is 412220. All right.
Yeah. So happy.
Okay. I love enthusiastic ones. We had the science poetry contest awards the other night, and this little girl, when she walked up before we even started, and I introduced the mayor. She goes, "Oh, he's the mayor?" And everybody said, I said yes, and she goes, "Oh!" She just jumped up and down. We made the mayor's day. Okay. Yeah, I know. I should have brought a couple of good things. I didn't think of that. You see, Anne is looking at it. 412233. Oh. I don't need to prove.
I'm sorry. Oh, thank
That's
you.
3. The next number is 412244.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. Wow.
Looking at it, it would come in. And 412229. 412227. So that's 6. 4 more. 412238.
All right.
All right. 412226. Someone must have left. Hey, there was. 412237. Oh, I said 227. 412237.
Yeah.
412222. I can do it for you. You got it right. Okay. And that concludes the raffle. Okay. And now we're going to move along with our next Poet Laureate. The fourth Poet Laureate was Cynthia Patton. And Cynthia claims she majored in comparative lit in college. She says she was once employed as a cocktail waitress at Harrah's Casino in South Lake Tahoe. And she claims she took a single poetry class that convinced her she wasn't creative. Two of those are true. The first one, who believes that Cynthia majored in comparative lit in college? That's believable, huh? Who believes she was once employed as a cocktail waitress at Harrah's in Las Vegas? You believe that? Who believes she only took a single poetry class that convinced her she wasn't creative? That can happen. Okay, all right. You got it. Okay, so the false one is the one that seems most likely to be true, which is she majored in comparative lit. What did you major in, Cynthia?
Environmental policy analysis.
All right.
I have a BS, environmental science.
All right. Okay, now for the official introduction. Cynthia Patton served as Livermore's fourth Poet Laureate. She wrote 39 poems for events such as the city's sesquicentennial celebration, dedication of the council chambers, Emergency Operations Center, Veterans Way, and Livermore Plaza, as well as 7 public art installations. She coordinated 2 ekphrastic exhibits at the Bankhead, as well as an autism awareness exhibit at the Civic Center Library. She has hosted the Whistle Stop Writers Open Mic since 2014 and teaches with California poets in the schools. Cynthia is an attorney, an activist, an editor, and nonprofit consultant. She's the founder and executive director of Autism A to Z. She's authored 2 books on wetland preservation, plus a poetry collection, Across an Aqueous Moon, Travels in Autism. She also edited Double Take, Art and Amp. It typed out A&P. Yeah, art and literature, side by side. Her award-winning work has appeared in 16 anthologies, including the best-selling Chicken Soup for the Soul series, and numerous publications. It has also been performed on stage and featured at the Museum of Motherhood. Please welcome Cynthia Patton.
Okay, can you guys hear me? Okay, I'm going to preface this by saying I had cataract surgery like 10 days ago, so you're going to see me putting on glasses, taking them off, and adjusting a lot because everything is still pretty blurry, but I'm happy to be here. I'm not supposed to pick anything up, so whatever that was that just fell on the ground is going to stay there.
You can call out.
Okay, no, I think I'm going to be fine. Okay, I'm going to start with the first poem that I wrote as Poet Laureate back in June of 2017. And this was inspired in part because I was taking over the Poet Laureate Program from Kevin Gunn, and he was a teacher at Livermore High School when I was a student there. So I was thinking a lot about reflecting on growing up in Livermore High School when I wrote this poem. And Peggy always says that I coined the term live no more in Livermore. but actually that was one of the Gillespie brothers. So a shout out to Brent and Walter. But anyway, this is called A Place to Call Home. Live no more in Livermore. That's what we used to say as bored high school students, eager to escape. It was different then. No hip restaurants, outlet stores, or wine bars. Not even coffee shops. We bucked hay in the quad for homecoming. I dreamt of a fast-paced career paired with big city lights far from a sleepy hometown. And I got them for a while. But by 30, I found myself inexplicably here, in the one place I'd sworn to avoid. Live no more in Livermore. Which changed more, the place or me? The Vine serves wine. We have fireworks downtown. We did. The Cowboy Bar is gone, replaced by yoga studios, bakeries, craft beer. I hike Brushy Peak in the shadow of windmills, mark seasons with vineyards. When I climb Pigeon Pass at night, see our valley cupped like a sea of stars in the earth's hands, I feel blessed. Passing Bauman's and the donut wheel, something twists in my headstrong heart. Live no more in Livermore. For both me and the place, things were lost in the passage of time, but much was gained. The roots I once sought to sever sink deeper, drawing me close, weaving a cloak that shelters in life's inevitable storms. Livermore, it's good to be home. Okay, I think I'm going to read 3 that are going to appear in the Poet Laureate book, because one is kind of long. A poem that I wrote for the, one of the things you realize when you become a Poet Laureate is you get a whole lot of directions from various people on what they want in the poem. Sometimes they're weirdly conflicting. Anyway, so for the city's sesquicentennial, I got a whole lot of, it must mention the Transcontinental Railway, it must mention Robert Livermore, it must mention Mendenhall, it must mention, you know, there was a laundry list. So that's kind of a longish poem that's basically a little mini history lesson on Livermore. So, you guys can read that one. And the other one is a bit of a downer. So, I'm going to read this one. This is one of the funner poems that I got to write. This was for a Candyland themed bus mural. It's still there, you can see it, it's by The Habit. And I literally bitched for a good 6 months about, I have to write a poem about Candyland, and the art teacher at Granada High kept apologizing to me. I'm so sorry, I don't know why the students picked that. So the mayor and I got a lot of laughing out of that until, you know, it was 2 weeks before the dedication, and I needed to, you know, sit down and pull something out of, you know, where. Anyway, this one's called The Sweet Life. Sweets are plentiful if we know where to look. A terrier's energetic greeting, a hard-won achievement, a toddler's sticky grin. Yet there are times when we forget, when everything is a struggle and life, a constant stream of obstacles, redundant paperwork, robocalls, and bad breakups. Weeks when nothing fits, or works, or goes according to plan. Days when we want to give up, or give in, when food tastes bland and even a best friend bores you. It's tempting to think, wouldn't life be wonderful if it were more like Candyland? If we could drive past peppermint signposts and pluck cotton candy from the clouds? If roads were marked with gumdrops and hills covered in never-melting ice cream? If the Milky Way were made of Hershey's kisses that fell like shooting stars? Wouldn't life be sweeter? I suspect we'd outgrow it as a toddler abandons a once favorite game, because we forget that we forget that sweet is sweeter when confronted with bitter. We need life's struggles and sorrows, its boring, sour moments, to remind us to give thanks for everything that is beautiful, fun, delicious, amazing, and yes, just plain sweet. When we are overwhelmed and life comes at us like a bullet train, stop, take a breath, and remember that without these bad times, we would never learn and grow. Today, the world may seem a slow slog through a featureless plain of blah, but the sweet life waits just around the corner. If only we know where to look. Okay, this one is the last poem that I wrote in June of 2022 for the dedication of Livermore Plaza. This is called A Brilliant Light. Isn't that how one imagines it, with the birth of an atom or a newborn squalling at fluorescent glare, kaleidoscope colors, cacophony of sound, the downward pull of gravity, a sharp intake of air? Livermorium 116, discovered in 2000, or more accurately, created that year. Super heavy, super smelling, at least according to some, but really, how would one know? Decays in milliseconds, produced in a research lab, radioactive, mass unknown, boiling and melting points also unknown. So what is its purpose, this short-lived and little-known element? Research, yes, but surely there is more, isn't there? An age-old question, whether human or chemical. We all want to know what lies beyond the light, whether it be sun or star, human or atom. We instinctively look for the light. We want to know why one burns white hot while another dwindles and goes dark. We want it logical, predictable, like science. Perhaps there will never be an answer, only this. It is the unknown, the undiscovered, the brilliant, beckoning light that forever holds us enthralled. Okay, I'm going to read two other ones that I couldn't pick to put in our little forthcoming book. Paul and I did a whole lot of programs in my 5 years as Poet Laureate. And yes, because of the pandemic, I got a bonus year. But before the pandemic, we were doing an autism awareness event in April, which also happens to be National Poetry Month and Autism Awareness Month, but also just the event happened to fall on National Library Week. So we were celebrating like three things, and so I was like, how do we make this seem less kind of schizophrenic? So I thought, I know, I'll write a poem that has to do with autism and libraries. And so I wrote a poem that actually became two poems, but this was the first one, about taking my daughter who has autism to the library. So this one is called, again, We Visit the Library. Every time I take her, long to describe the card catalog. Narrow drawers, dull brass pulls, yellowed files, dewy decimal system, all encased in pale maple rubbed smooth by countless hands. At her age, I'd clutch stubby pencil, transcribe orderly numbers and letters to a well-used index card, wander the stacks, make serendipitous finds. It's all gone. No manila pockets with strings of multicolored dates, strange calculus of popularity and history. No encyclopedias with glossy photos. No thesaurus with its tiny tabs. At her age, I love the scent of ink and paper, the hushed reverence, the freedom to explore. Wanted her to feast on that freedom, nibble its treats, delve into delicacies developed for a still pliant palate. At her age, The card catalog was a country, a continent of possibility, plunged into the unknown, sailor who steered by the stars, now scratched for entrance to her secret garden, fingernails rough with effort. It's strange. I think in language. She thinks in pictures, music, and color. Each of us an immigrant, and the other's native land. Okay, and then I brought a couple other ones. We've had a couple volunteer poems, so we won't do that one. What would you guys like? A climate change poem or a pandemic poem? All right, we'll do the climate change one. So this one I wrote for, I think it was in January of 2019, literally like a month or two before the pandemic started. We had a wild and scenic film festival, and I got to go on the stage with the bankhead before a packed house, probably the only time I will ever read a poem in front of a standing room audience only. Literally, right moments before I was backstage, and I was like, oh shit. I was like, oh, I'm an introvert. This is kind of intimidating. But anyway, it was actually pretty cool. But so anyway, this poem, Our Clouded Eyes Do Not See. Call it what you will, circle, wheel, season, the push and pull of tides, a fragile bud unfurling into leaf and bloom, only to one day wither and die. Mother Earth has a pattern, a plan far greater than us. It's woven in our sinews, braided in our brains, a pulse pounding in this fragile temple built of bone. Sand leaks from the hourglass, a tired tapestry phrase. Still, we ignore the warnings carried by warning waves. Hurricanes howl, firestorms consume. The sky's blistered mouth speaks in tongues. Ice groans and splits, the bowl of ocean overflows. Our clouded eyes do not see. We think technology, the new almighty, will save us, counting apps 2 by 2, forgetting that the tipping point, when it inevitably comes, will only be obvious in hindsight. Too late, just as it was for the dinosaur, tumbling towards extinction even as its footsteps echoed like thunder on this bold and beautiful globe. Thank you.
Okay, now I get the pleasure in introducing and talking about the last poetry, but certainly not the least. Peggy is an amazing poet laureate. Being the first, it's really great to watch all the new programs and how programs are either sustained or created, and she's just a joy to work with and be around. I'm very honored to be her friend. In that light, we're going to talk about truth or dare, truth and lies. Okay, so these are the 3 things. You know the program. So one of these things is, of course, false. So the first one is Peggy creates crossword puzzles as a hobby. Who thinks that's true? Oh, Peggy creates crossword puzzles as a hobby. Is that, Yeah, but I thought we did the true, is that true individually? I was wrong. Okay, never mind. All right, so because I thought we did the, just forget.
We read all 3 individually.
Okay, and then also, you're right, was nicknamed Sloopy as in high school. And then the third one, as a teenager, she aspired to be a cartoonist. So, okay, those are the 3. So anyways, we'll go back. So who thinks that the first one, creates crossword puzzles as a hobby, is true? Okay, so a smattering. Who believes that she was nicknamed Sloopy in high school? Okay, a whole bunch, because that's pretty unique. And then who believes that as a teenager she aspired to be a cartoonist? Okay, so that's kind of a half, or a little less than half. All right, well, the survey says that the answer is, the false one was nicknamed Sloopy. Where you came up with that name, I don't know, but...
Because my real nickname was Twiggy.
Oh, okay. That was not my nickname, okay? Yeah, that's, oh, good, so now we know. All right, so Peggy is just a wonderful writer in person, as I said, so we're gonna do her bio, and then she'll read her poems that she's written. Peggy Schimmelman became the city's 5th Poet Laureate in 2022. Her focus has been on continuing popular programs such as the Poetry in a Test Tube, Teen Poet of the Semester for high school and middle school students, and Verse on the Vine, a series that features renowned poets from the Bay Area and beyond. And it's super important that we brought in these poets from the Bay Area and beyond. It gives the city a lot of credit. She sponsors a series of poetry workshops and quarterly pop-up poetry events at which poets and non-poets come to share their favorite poems. She co-hosts Whistle Stop Writers and Third Thursday Open Mic, which Cynthia started. It's been going a long time. It's a nice thing for the community to do. Peggy's work includes poetry books, Make Me Your Love Song, Crazy Town, which would be like the subtitle of the Poet Laureate Program, right? And TikTok, and the novels Insomniacs Inc. and Whippoorwills. She is the co-author of Long Story Short and Two Truths and a Lie, Wild Vine Writers. Her work has appeared in North American Review, Naugatuck River Review, Peregrine, WinningWriters.com, Pacific Review, Comstock Review, Haight-Ashbury Journal, and others. She is also a published songwriter who plays percussion in the volunteer band Heartstrings, performing for veterans and assisted living facilities. See, I like finding out about the other life beyond the poetry world. Very, very talented, but very wonderful. Let's welcome Peggy Schimmelman.
Thank you, Connie. The first thing that I did as Poet Laureate, well, I'm going to go back to my Poet Laureate interview. I was asked to read a poem for the committee that was selecting the Poet Laureate. And this is a poem that was actually inspired by a song I wrote. I just took the first lines of it and turned it into a poem. This is called, This is Livermore. West of the windmills, east of the bay, a little city, big town, a whisper away from the mountains or sea, in a valley surrounded by velvety hills with sun-soaked vineyards, acres of pasture where horses gaze, and a lab where the wizards of science unravel unfathomable mysteries. It's a gentrified, dignified, modern old town where townspeople gather, scientists, vintners, shopkeepers, ranchers, all residents welcome to watch, march, or ride in the rodeo parade as it files past boutiques and a western store, diners, taquerias, 24-hour donuts, and an eye-catching erotica store window. Here artists thrive, and oh, the music, rock, mariachi, jazz, blues, country. From Blacksmith Square or beneath the flagpole, it swims in the air. Floats from restaurants, coffee shops, bars, mingles with tunes from sidewalk troubadours, and the shouts of children splashing in fountains, their laughter its own kind of song. Centuries of history, reshaping, replacing, Ohloni's reduced by disease and mistreatment. A Franciscan mission, rugged rancheros, friars and bandits called it home. Sometimes still, we're a city divided over housing developments, parks, hotels. Inevitable changes can rattle the soul, but I find peace in the constant delights. A wild turkey struts across my lawn, sun-drunk poppies by the creek running wild. And have you ever seen such a marvelous sight as your lovers smile from the wine, tipsy-turvy, the glow in the shadows, lit by the magic of a moonstruck vineyard on a warm August night? And then once I was installed as Poet Laureate, the first thing I was asked to do was write a poem for one of the civic appreciation dinners that some of the others have read, the poems that they wrote for. In this dinner, they reward their volunteers, the volunteers of the community, with an appreciation dinner. So this is called the spirit of a city. Do you ever wonder what sets one community apart from another? What makes one thrive while another grows stagnant? Architecture, restaurants, tourist attractions? The Planning Commission, the council, and mayor, their actions all matter, but the spirit of a city is its people. Sometimes, hungry for hope, I scour my news feed only to find the stock market lower, gas prices higher, the flag persists, the midterms loom. So to shake off the gloom, I look to my neighbors because the spirit of a city is its people. For example, every evening my friend Bud sang on his doorstep through 3 years of COVID, just him and his guitar, no financial compensation, no wide recognition. With his housebound neighbors, he shared his gift. He felt that he should, and he could, so he did. The spirit of this city is its people. I see volunteers cleaning up graffiti, count the homeless, pick up trash at the creeks. Some help the police, others are busy blanketing our trees, supporting the arts. You'll find them in libraries, schools, and parks. The spirit of this city is its people. In our town, what needs doing gets done. As citizens step up, one by one, those who understand we're all in this together. Why not make our lives better? They give of their labor, their time, and their skills. They feel that they should, and they can, so they will. Yes, the spirit of this city is its people. And shortly after I was installed as Poet Laureate, I was asked to do a dedication poem for a new statue that was installed out by the Springtown Library. It was called Influx, and it was shaped roughly like a wave. And it was inspired by, the artist said it was inspired by the beauty of nature and the dynamics of the ocean. And I struggled to find a connection to Livermore and the ocean, but I think I found one. I call it Swimming Toward Home. As a river flows into the ocean, it leaves behind those species unable to survive the transition. But the more adaptable persist, riding the current into the sea, enriching the deep, briny water with an influx of diverse new life. And just as a river longs for the ocean, so do humans search for a home. A place to plant roots, form friendships and families, a place to prosper and thrive. Some seek out populous cities, energized by bustling crowds, while others reap peace in the fields of the heartland, remote mountain villages, or the mystic solitude of the desert. But some find a home in this valley, in a town that sprang from a cattleman's dream, a city rich in Western tradition, but with an artistic yet scientific, vibrant spirit. With a vision fed by a humming city center, ranches and vineyards, and unique neighborhoods, growing, flowing, merging into one diverse community, an ocean of promise, a place where we can all belong. And here's another Civic Appreciation Dinner 2023. They sort of stopped building artistic monuments and statues that I might have been able to write a poem for. I'm not sure why that happened. I kind of missed doing that. I would have liked to do it. But anyway, I have done several appreciation dinners, 3 so far. This one was in 2023. This is called Our Moment in Time. It's hard to watch the news these days. It's even harder to look away from the horror in Israel and Gaza, dysfunction in Washington, agitation, aggravation on social media, network news delivered in slant. How can we hope to fix all this when so much is out of our hands? But I remind myself that here, in this minuscule segment of the universe, in this brief blip in time that you and I share, there are problems that can be fixed. And how lucky we are that among us live those who are gifted, blessed with talent and drive to elevate our lives by donating ideas, energy, and time, so that the hungry and unsheltered are housed and fed, libraries are maintained, transportation is streamlined, our history is preserved, and culture is promoted. Through their determined devotion, our community thrives. What rewards await in the afterlife? A harp and a halo, karmic bliss, peaceful oblivion? Beyond all this, those who give have earned an earthly prize, the gratitude of their fellow travelers, we whose lives intertwine as we suffer the lows and celebrate the highs of our precious fleeting moment in time. I'm going to finish with this one. This was also a civic appreciation poem, but this was recent. The spirit of our city at 3 a.m. found me with fragments of poetry swarming around me. I asked, shall I write an ode to your history? Mr. Livermore, Mendenhall, Concannon, Winton, or other notable citizens who have made their mark from Duarte's Garage to Mason Park, those old ranching families whose names can be found beneath cowboy hats displayed in a diner downtown. There's Hageman Ranch, Bernal Avenue. Familiar names are more than few. The spirit agreed these have all played a role in charting my path and shaping my soul. But I hope you'll remember to mention the thousands who contributed labor, ideas, and hours, from new growth committees to historic preservation, from cultural expansion to housing and safety. Their faces may fade as the decades fly past, and their names may never grace a street sign or a plaza. A school or a park may not bear their name, but a volunteer will tell you it's not about fame. All around them they see the results of their labor. The reward is in making a great city greater. So tonight, let us toast one of Livermore's true blessings, volunteers of the past, of the future, and the present. That's fine, okay. All right, well, that concludes our reading for this evening. Again, we want to thank everybody for coming out. We want to thank Paul again for facilitating this event. I want to remind people that we have our third Thursday Whistle Stop open mic for poets who want to come and read, or for people who want to come and listen, every third Thursday at Squirrel on the Square. And starting June 1st, there will be an exhibit here in the library that I'm working on with Angie Uncola called Saddle Brush and Art. And it's Western pictures, cowboy pictures, horses, ranches, things like that. So that will be gracing the halls of the library shortly. It will be there for the entire month of June, so I hope you come check it out. Okay, does anybody have any other announcements? No? All right, well, thank you all so much.